Good morning and welcome to our Food for Thought sports betting picks and analysis show. Again, thank you for joining me. Now, I hope everybody had a good holiday, Christmas. So we're going to start off with some NBA analysis. We have nine games in the association that we want to go over this morning. The first game that we're going to go over is Oklahoma City versus Indiana. The Indiana Pacers. Indiana's at home. Indiana is a 5-point favorite, and the total is 226 and a half. In this head-to-head in this meeting, it's 8-2 for Indiana, 3-7 against the spread. The over/under in this series is 6-4 to the over. So this game here, they have the last four games have flip-flopped from has the over/under has flip-flop in the last four games. So what I want to look at here is, first of all, is the total. Total is 226 and a half. That's the total. That's the current total right now. So in OKC, I mentioned to you the head-to-head between the two teams. So the last 10 games, they're 8-2, 7-2 against the spread, and 4-6 to the under. That's OKC. So their last, basically been the last 10 games, they're 4-6 to the under, like I mentioned. So the last game they went over against Washington. Now they're on the road here. So far, the road games for the month. So far, the over/under for December, generally speaking, on the road in December, they've had they're 1-3 to the under in the month of December. OKC. Now they're on the road in Indiana. In this game here, because the Pacers have played four straight unders as well. They're 2-7 to the under in the last 10 games. So in this case here, I'm going to lean to the under. Under 227 and a half. That's something to think about. This is something to think about as we go through the day. Because as again, the lines change, the totals change. This is just a lean for now. I would lean under. Pacers, four straight unders for Indiana. 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. And 6-4 in their last 10. So I would lean in this game to the under. Regarding the spread, in this game here, the Pacers have covered 3 straight games. They covered 3 straight games on the road against Phoenix, Sacramento, and Golden State. So in this game here, OKC's favorite 4.5. OKC has covered their last three games. Head-to-head, the Pacers have matched up pretty well with OKC, as I mentioned earlier, and they have covered the last 2 against OKC. So I would lean, besides the under in this game, I would also lean to Indiana. Indiana, they've covered 3 straight. They're a good dog today. They're very good. They're potentially a very good dog for today's game. So I would lean Indiana to cover the 4.5, and I would lean to the under in this game. Now I do see here there are some 227s on the board. So it has gone. I'm seeing the lines move from 226 now to 227. I would still take the under. I would still lean to the under. This is a lean for now. Because like I said, this is where early in the morning here, the totals and lines do tend to change throughout the day. So just pay attention to that as you go throughout the day. Just something as a food for thought to think about as we progress through the day. That's that game. So the next game that we're going to focus on is Charlotte versus Washington. The game is in Washington, and Charlotte is a 4-point favorite. the line here is 227.5. Head to head, 6-4. Washington in the last 10. 4-6 Washington against the spread. And then 4-6 to the under in this series. So it's been it's 4-6 to the under in this series. Now they have played not too long ago. The last meeting was December 19th, so that's about a week ago. Played a week ago in Washington. And this game was around the same range, believe it or not. It was about 226.5. That was the total at the time, and the spread was 4. This is 3.5. And this game actually went over. So in this game here, I would actually go back to I would lean, because Charlotte's been brutal. They've lost 5 straight games. And they're actually favored now, which is kind of unusual. Although they lost 5 straight, they're favored in this game. Last time they were a dog, and they covered as a 4-point dog. Yeah, they were a dog and they covered as a 4-point dog, but lost the last time. So now they're actually favored 3.5 points. And Washington themselves, they've lost 2 straight. They're 2-8 in their last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 5-4 to the over Washington. This one here, I would lean towards the over again. I don't see anything changing from within the past week between these two teams, so I would lean to the over, 227.5. As for the side, no opinion on the side. Both teams are brutal. So I have no opinion on the side. So I would lean to the over. That's my play on this one. That's a lean. Keep in mind, these are just leans. These are the things I think about because, like I mentioned, the totals and the spreads change and fluctuate throughout the day. So these are just leans for now. So we'll move on to the next game. Next game is Miami versus Orlando. Orlando minus 1.5 point favorites. The total 208. These teams have played 2 times already. October, and they played 5 days ago, not too long ago. So head to head, 6-4. Orlando has the edge against the spread, 5-5. The last 10 games, 6-4 to the over. The last 2 games have gone over, and it's at the same. Coincidentally, it's the same total, 208, and the total's 208. So what a coincidence! Same total, and the spread's about the same, 1.5. Orlando's 1.5. This game is in Orlando. The last time these two teams played, Orlando covered -2. They're 1.5 point favorites, Orlando, for a second time. Again, I don't see anything changing. I don't see no change within the 6 days. I can see this going over again. They've gone over twice already. I see it going over again. I lean towards the over. I don't see any change from 6 days when they last played, or 5 days ago. So I lean towards the over. And I'll lean to Orlando again. Miami, the last time they had a big lead there in Orlando. I actually watched that game. And they had a big lead. They coughed up the lead. Orlando stormed back and beat them. So again, Orlando, they held their own at home. They've definitely held their own at home. So I definitely would lean to Orlando and lean to the over. Just a food for thought. Something to think about as a food for thought in this game. Again, that's my lean. Something that you may want to consider for today's game. Next up, we have Chicago versus Atlanta. Atlanta 6.5 point favorites. The total 242.5. They have played twice already. Twice last month, November 9th, November 22nd. The November 9th meeting, actually head-to-head, the last 10 meetings between these two teams, 7-3. Chicago, they've controlled the series. 8-2 against the spread. And then the over-under is 4-6 to the under. So the last two meetings, the first meeting this year, November 9th, in Atlanta, was under 241.5. Second meeting, over 246. Chicago actually won both meetings in this series. Right now, Chicago's lost 2 in a row. They've lost 2 straight. And Atlanta, in their last 6-4, Atlanta, in their last 10, 4-6 against the spread. Atlanta, 5-5 the over/under. Atlanta. Chicago 5-5 in the last 10, 5-4 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Chicago. So in this game here, if we look at this game here, it's 243.5 this total. So the total has gone down slightly. It was 246 in the last game. It's gone down to 243.5. Chicago's, their last 3 games, they've been under the total, Chicago. And Atlanta's last 3 games, 2-1 to the over. Atlanta's at home. This game here, I would lean towards the under. The Bulls are playing some incredibly good defense. The defense has been picked up pretty well. So I mean, I would definitely take the under in this game. I would lean to the under. I know it's a high total, dangerous and very risky to take it under, but I would lean that way. Based on the past results, head-to-head between these two teams, and with the Bulls playing some incredibly good defense, I would lean to the under. This is a lean. As for the side in this game, the last 3 meetings, Chicago has dominated Atlanta. I would lean to the Bulls to cover the 6.5. I think the Bulls can hang in there. Don't know if they'll win this game. Maybe Atlanta wins this one. But I would lean to the Bulls to cover. That's a lean in this one. Something to think about. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the lines and the totals throughout the day for this one as well. There's always injuries, always something comes up that fluctuates these lines. So just keep an eye on that throughout the day. Next game, Toronto versus Memphis. It's in FedEx Forum in Memphis. This game here, Memphis 11.5 point favorites. Total 238.5. Head-to-head between these two teams, 6-4. Memphis has dominated the series in the last 10. 6-4 against the spread, Memphis. The over-under in the last 10 is 2-8 to the under. These teams have played the last 10 of 2-8 to the under. The last 5 straight under in this series, which is interesting. Toronto 2-8, their record in their last 10. This is in their last 10, 2-8, 6-3 against the spread, 5-5 total over under. Toronto's lost a bunch of games. They've lost 7 straight games. But they have been covering the spreads though. Toronto's been covering. They didn't cover the last big spread against the New York in New York. They got pounded badly in that game. Memphis, on the other hand, 7-3 against the spread. 7-3 against the spread, yes. 7-3 in their last 10. And then 5-5. The over-under. Now, Memphis, they've covered 2 big spreads in a row. This is early this month. They covered Brooklyn. It was a big spread favorite. They covered Washington. But I laid this total. I know Toronto, they've been covering spreads lately, but the last game against New York, New York dominated them and blasted them. I would lean toward. I don't like bet. I don't like taking big spreads in my opinion, but I would hmm I would lean towards Memphis 11.5. I know there's a reason why the spread is so high, even though Toronto, they've been covering spreads, but they're not covering against New York in the 11 and the 13.5. Now in Memphis is 11.5. There's got to be a reason why the spread is so high. So I would lean towards Memphis. I'll take Memphis in this situation. Memphis and the 11.5. It's just a lean. Nothing major. Just a lean in this game. And for the total, I would lean to the over. I know the last 5 meetings have been under, but Toronto's offense has been off the charts. They're not stopping anybody on defense, but the offense is off the charts. So I would definitely lean to the over 238.5. I definitely lean towards that. That's my take on that game. So that's for that game. But keep an eye on that. That's total and the spread throughout the day. Definitely keep an eye on that for sure. Next game, Houston versus the Pelicans. New Orleans Pelicans. It's in New Orleans. Houston 7.5 point favorites. Total 220.5. This one here head to head 6-4. Houston 3-6 against the spread. Head to head. 3-7 to the under in this series. Now they have played 7 days ago, played a week ago, these two teams. And Houston dominated the Pelicans. This is at home, though. Houston has covered the last 2 meetings. They covered at home as a 9.5 point favorite. And the total that time was 218.5. And then in February of this year, that's last season, they were 6.5 point favorites, and the total was 227, and it went over. So now the total is 220.5. It's gone up for this season. First meeting was 218. Now it's gone up to 220. So within a 7-day or 1 week span from the last meeting, it's the total has ticked up by about 2 points. So it's gone up to 220.5 from 218. 218 the first meeting a week ago, now 220. So my lean would be towards the over. Definitely would play the over. The last 2 games have gone over. All those 3-7 to the under in the last 10. The last 2 have gone over. I expect this one to go over as well. That's a lean. I would lean over. And I can see Houston covering the spread again. I think Houston's going to cover the spread again. I see them covering the spread. I don't see the Pelicans covering the spread. You know, like I said, Houston has dominated the series, and I don't see anything changing for today's game. So I would lean towards Houston, and I would lean towards the over in this game. Okay, so the next game we would look at Brooklyn versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee -10. The total 213.5. They've already played twice already. Both of these games they played twice in Brooklyn. So head-to-head 8-2 in the last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Although the last 2 meetings, Milwaukee has won one of the meetings, and Brooklyn won the other. And then in the last 2 meetings, it's 1-for-1 the total in the last 2. So in the last meeting was December 8th in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, apparently, they were a 6-point dog. They covered, but lost. The meeting before that, October 27th in Brooklyn, 8.5-point dogs. They covered and won that game. Now Milwaukee's 10.5-point favorites. Those first two games, Milwaukee weren't the same team as they are now. This is a rejuvenated Milwaukee Bucks team. After winning the tournament, they had the Cup tournament in Las Vegas. They're basically a rejuvenated bunch, and this 10.5 here. I know Brooklyn has covered the last couple meetings. They did cover a 10.5 last year. This is the same a 10.5 spot they covered last year, last March. I would lean towards Milwaukee. I lean towards the Bucks. This is a rejuvenated team. They've been covering the last two games. Milwaukee, they've won 2 straight. They played some bottom tiers, but they're even though they played the bottom tiers, you can see that they picked up their intensity, game level wise. So 7-3 against the spread, 6-4 against the spread their last 10. This is not the head-to-head. This is in general. 6-4 against the spread, 4-60 under Milwaukee. So Milwaukee's been playing some defense the last few games. Doc Rivers hasn't playing defense. Brooklyn, 2-8 in the last 10, 3-7 against the spread. Brooklyn, 4-6 to the under. So yes, I would stick to Milwaukee. Milwaukee to cover the 10.5. I'll definitely stick to that as a lean. This is a lean. And in this game, I'm going to take the under. Milwaukee's defense has intensified, like I mentioned before, and they're hella focused. Like I said, they won the Cup in Vegas. This team's on a mission. They're on a mission. They're on a purpose. So I definitely lean to the under. 213.5. Yes, under 213.5. And Milwaukee to cover the 11.5. The 10.5. Milwaukee 10.5 point favorite. So definitely I would take that. That's a lean. The next game up we would have Sacramento against the Detroit Pistons. Sacramento 5-point favorites, and it's 227.5. Head-to-head, 6-4 against 6-4. Sacramento has controlled the head-to-head, 6-4 against the spread. And in this head-to-head series, 5-4 to the over. This game here, Pistons, in general, the last 10 games, 5-5, 6-4 against the spread. Detroit, 8-2 to the over. So Sacramento last 10, in general, 4-6, 3-7 against the spread. Sacramento 5-5 against the spread. So this game has been pretty intense. This game, it's been a pretty intense series. In general, my opinion is because Detroit's playing so well. They've won 2 straight. They've covered 2 in a row. Sacramento, they've been a disaster. They have not covered a spread in about 3 weeks at home. So it's been a long time since they've covered a spread. They've lost 4 straight. They've gone under their last 3 games. I'll definitely take the Pistons plus 5.5. I like Detroit. Detroit's been playing very well. They've covered 2 straight down the road. And I like the Pistons to cover again here. I like Detroit 5.5, definitely. And I like the over in this game. I know Sacramento, they've gone under 3 straight games at home. But Detroit's the kind of team that likes to run and gun. They're a young run and gun team, and that would force Sacramento. They would force Sacramento in that type of game, the run and gun game. As evident to their last few meetings head to head, especially the last 2, especially the last last 10 games, 5 and 4 and 1s to the over. So I would say over. Like I said, although Sacramento's been under the last 3 games, I'd take the over. I lean to the over. 227.5. Pistons again. They've gone 3 straight overs. Actually, 4 straight overs. The last 2 overs have been on the road. I see us going over, and I take the Pistons to cover. That's my lean for this one. Next game, Utah Jazz in Portland against the Blazers. The Mod Center in Portland, Oregon. Portland 1.5 point favorites, total 228. They have played earlier this month in Portland. Portland was a 4-point favorite. Utah covered. And Utah won outright. And head-to-head 6 and 4 the last 10. 6 and 4 against the spread. And 6 and 4 to the over. Last 3 meetings especially have gone over the total. Total's 228. Utah in general, the last 10 in general, this is in general, 3 and 7, 5 and 5 against the spread, 7 and 3 to the over, Utah. So Utah playing some open style basketball. Now they're on a road trip right now. This is the last game of the road trip. So on the road, 3 and 1 to the over on the road. The last 4 meetings, or the last 4 games, 3 and 1 to the over. Portland last 10, 2 and 8, 4 and 6 against the spread. Portland 6 and 4 to the over. Portland's lost 2 straight. Now they're a favorite, 2.5. This month they have not covered as a favorite at all. They have not been a favorite this month. Well, they were a favorite once against Utah. That's where they lost outright. I would definitely take Utah again. I think Utah would cover Portland. I think Utah covers the spread. Utah, yeah, I would take Utah definitely to cover. They've covered on the road. They've covered 3 straight games. They've covered 3 straight. Portland's lost 2 straight. And like I said, the total has gone over the last 3 meetings. So I definitely would take Utah to cover and the over. Over 228.5. That's my lean. Utah and the over. So that's it for the NBA slate. We've gone through the NBA games. So now we turn our attention to the NFL, the National Football League. So tonight's game, we have Seattle versus the Chicago Bears. As we check here, the game's in Chicago. Let's see here. The line here, let's check here. The line, it's 4.5. 4.5. Total 42.5 in this game. So let's see here. Seattle's 5-5 against the spread. 5-5 in the last 10 games. 4-6 to the under. Chicago 1-9 in their last 10. 3-6 against the spread. 4-6 to the under. The total's 42.5. So in this case here, 42.5, a low total. Low total 42.5. In this game here, Seattle, Chicago. My take is I would take a lean to the under 42.5. I'd take a lean in this game. That's my lean. Seattle's lost their last 2 games. Green Bay and Minnesota. And now they're on the road now. Although the last 2 road games, they've won their last 2 road games, but they were dogs at that time. Chicago, they've lost a bunch of games. It looks like 7 to 8 straight games they've lost. So I definitely would take Seattle on the points. I think Seattle would cover the 3.5. These home dogs have been atrocious this year. They've been absolutely atrocious. They have not been good. They've been really downright awful, really, really bad. So I'll definitely take Seattle 3.5 to cover. I think they cover the spread. I think Seattle, I think Seattle gets back on track. They entered 2-game losing streak. Covers at -3.5, and I like the under 42.5. The Bears, let me tell you, they have not looked good. Like I said, they're a home dog. Like I said, the home dogs have been awful. They've been bad. Seattle's been playing hard. They've lost 2 tough games, especially the one against Minnesota at home was a bad loss. I think they bounce back here. -3.5 Seattle. Under 42.5. Yeah, so that's what I like. That's what I like in this game. Seattle -3.5. Yes, I'll definitely take that. That's my take on that. Now we do have a few college football games coming on here. College football. Let's see. So college football. Pittsburgh versus Toledo. So Toledo 7.5. Let's see. Give me the current line. It's -7 now. The line's -7. And 50.5 is the total. It opened up at 9.5. Opened up at -9. Went down to 7.5. Now it's at 7. 7's across the board, basically. Total 50.5. This game here, I would lean towards, I lean towards the under 50.5. Yeah, I would lean to the 50 and under 50.5 in this game for sure. I can see Pittsburgh in this game neutralizing Toledo's offense. Pittsburgh's the type of team that can neutralize and control tempo in this game and limit what Toledo does in the MAC. So this is basically a step up in class for Toledo, a major step up in class. And this Pitt team there, I think they can neutralize them and keep the game under 50.5. That's my opinion on that. Now it's just a lean for now. These are just leans, so I'll lean that way. Next game up, Rutgers versus Kansas. Kansas -6 and -7 across the board. This one opened up at 7. So I'm seeing 7s across the board right now. Total 52. Total is 52 in this game. And this matchup here, I would take, the total opened up at 51. Now it's 52. I'll take the over 52 between Rutgers and Kansas. I lean towards the over. I can see this game opening up the offense. Both offenses opening up with their style of play. Over 52 for me. The side, I'm not sure about the side. It's 7. No lean towards the side. Not sure which way I'm going to go on this one. For me, it's just over 52, this game here. And the third game in the Bowls will be Arkansas State versus Bowling Green. Bowling Green has opened up as a 7-point favorite. Total being 53. The total's 53. I'm seeing a 53. 53 is the total. I lean towards Arkansas State, this one here. Arkansas State. And now we're seeing 8.5. It's gone from 7 to 8.5. I would still take Arkansas State. I think Arkansas State can cover this spread. I would lean that way. just one moment. Yes, so Arkansas State's 7.5. I'm sorry, 8.5. Now let's go on to 8.5. That's the current line. 8.5. Especially given the fact that these two teams have never faced each other before. This is brand new territory. So when they have not faced each other before and they're not familiar with each other, in cases like this, I would tend to lean towards the dog. The dogs, I would, and that's my opinion. I would tend to lean towards the dog because they've never faced each other before. It's a first meeting, head to head. So I would lean towards the 8.5. I take Arkansas State for sure. And as for the total, lean towards the over. I see some 54s coming up on the board, so I would lean towards the over in this one. So Arkansas State in the over 54. That's my leans for now. So we've gone through all the professional sporting games. We've gone through all that today. Now I am going to come back this afternoon. These are just food for thought analysis and leans. These are analysis and leans for food for thought plays. Analysis and leans on these games. This afternoon I'm going to come back. I will give my official plays. I'll give my top over-under, my top dog, my top underdog to win outright, and my top spreads, my top spreads of the day. So, be back this afternoon to give you all that, and I'll throw in some props for this afternoon as well. All right, so you'll get my picks this afternoon. Again, food for thought segment where we go over the betting picks, the leans that I put out there, so you guys can think it over as you go about your morning. Then this afternoon I'm gonna give you my picks for what I like. All right. So that's it for now. I want you guys to stay blessed, be true to yourself, and I'll see you this afternoon. Peace.